guys, it's your boy Mr. Action back at you with another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends series celebrating 85 years, the Astonishing Wolverine. And guys, I am super excited to be going over this figure with you today. Now, when this figure was first initially announced, I was super excited to hear that we were going to be getting an updated body for this Wolverine. Prior to this release, most of the Wolverines that we've had in the past only had your standard ab crunch articulation, which there's nothing wrong with that. But to hear that we were going to be getting that added diaphragm joint along with the ab crunch was definitely something that I know most of us were excited to hear. So with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this review. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have Wolverine out of the packaging, and I can honestly say that I'm very impressed with the execution of this figure. Hasbro has been really doing their thing lately with just dropping gems on us, man, and I'm very grateful that, we did get the opportunity to get this new Wolverine figure. Just starting off with a new updated body, I'm very happy that we did get that added articulation. I feel like, for those of us who want to get Wolverine in more, dynamic poses, we now finally have that option. Again, not to say that there was anything bad with just the ab crunch alone, but to get that extra diaphragm joint along with the ab crunch is definitely something to ask for. And I also think that just in general, it's nice to get a overall new updated body. I think that this figure is a little bit bigger than the previous Wolverines that we've had before, so this is a all brand new mold that we are getting here, and I think it was about time for us to get that. Now, I don't necessarily like that he's a little bit bigger than what we're normally accustomed to, but he's still relatively small compared to the rest of your figures that he's supposed to be shorter than. So no problem there. But overall, man, Hasbro really did their thing, man. I really can't complain with this figure, man. It hits a lot of points. There are a few minuscule points of concern that do concern me, and we are going to talk about that the further we get into this review. But apart from those minimal critiques, I honestly feel like, without an ounce of a doubt, it's probably safe to say that this is probably the best Wolverine that Hasbro has produced. And I'm super excited to be going over it with you guys today. So let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty with this guy. Now, jumping into the accessories of this figure, our Wolverine here does come with a pair of 3 interchangeable hands. Now, one of them being his clawed hands, and I really like the way how these came out. I honestly really like the way how Hasbro has been improving these claws with the Wolverines figures over the decades, man. Some of them that we've had in the past have been really bad, but I honestly say that these come really close to being, if not the best clawed hands that we have. They are not painted in any metallic, unfortunately, but the plastic that it is molded in does provide you that nice reflective look, so you are going to get that nice sheen on them. Then he also does have his pair of standard fisted hands, and he also comes with a pair of expressive hands, one of them being an open palmed kind of hand, and then the other being a pointive directive hand. And last but not least, he also does come with this really nice head sculpt that I think Hasbro has just been nailing with their digital printing, man. They just been really dropping some real heat on us, man, and I really can't complain. I really like the way how this head sculpt came out. I do like, the fins on his ears. I like the fact that they're a little bit shorter. I mean, in my mind, it always made sense that, in terms of warfare, it would be practical for them to be a little bit on the short side. But I know that this is, pretty much the meats and gravy as to why most of us wanted to get this figure. So I am very pleased with the details on there, even the wrinkle work on, his jawline and everything like that. And even just looking at how pronounced his teeth are, I feel like I could look at each and every single individual teeth, man. I really like the way how this head sculpt came out. And then he also does have that nice seam work up there going through the top, and even some nice wrinkle work there, where the cowl meets. So I really do like the way how this cowl came out, man. Hasbro's really doing their thing with these head sculpts lately, especially with the digital printing. He also does come with this nice interchangeable head, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, when I first saw the promotional images with the head sculpt, I was a little bit on the fence because I'm not accustomed to my Logan looking like this. But when I went back and I looked at some of the source material or the reference material, I did see that Logan that is based on the Astonishing Wolverine does look like this. It's not a bad head sculpt, it's just I'm not accustomed to my Wolverine looking like this. He does have all the Wolverine qualifications though. He does have the sideburns. He also does have, like, you know, the fins or the spiked hair, as you would probably see. The head sculpt is really nice though. I do like the attention to the detail, man. I do like the wrinkle work. I'm not sure exactly where I would fit him in because the face is a little bit too realistic. I guess it'd be considered a comic version. But it's not real enough to be considered. Obviously, it's not an MCU figure. But all in all, man, it's a really nice head sculpt, and I do like the fact that we do have his hair with it as well. Now jumping over into the aesthetics of this figure. Honestly, what more could I say? I feel like Hasbro ripped this Wolverine from out of the comics and manifested it to you in action figure form. And honestly, I couldn't be more pleased, man. Starting off with the head on this Wolverine, man, I really like the attention to the detail. I like for once that we do get the short fins on this head sculpt. And I just overall just really like the detail in there, man, especially with the teeth. I really like how we can see each and every tooth in there individually. Before in the past with, you know, many teeth, sometimes it just looks all melted in there. So to see that, you know, we do have that nice digital printing, even with, you know, the 5 o'clock shadow on his beard there, man. I really like the way how this figure came out, man. Then over here, taking a look at the top of the head sculpt, man, we do see that there is some nice wrinkle work, and he also does have a nice seam in there, man. Overall, I really like, you know, how it continues to even go in the back. And then even with his chin strap, just a, you know, a nice little small attention to detail, it does go all the way through, man. So I really do like the fact that, you know, Hasbro has just been really dropping some heat with these digital printing faces, man. Then coming down over here to his neck, I do like the fact that we also do have some nice wrinkle work in the neck too as well. It's not just flat plastic. Then coming down over here to the chest piece, I really like the costume design for the Astonishing Wolverine. And honestly, you know, it's really starting to grow on me. Before, I used to like, you know, the tiger stripe Wolverine, and I think that's, you know, mostly everybody's favorite. But I also do know that there are some of you who do like the brown suit Wolverine too as well. But just looking at this suit here, man, I really like the attention to detail, man. The paint work on mine is relatively clean, and I do like the wrinkle work here to show you that he is wearing a costume, and it just goes throughout, you know, even here on the butterfly joint, you know what I'm saying? It's very nicely sculpted in there. Then he does also have these shoulder pads, and I'm not gonna lie to you, at first I was a little bit on the fence with these because when I do move his arms around, they do have the tendency to move a lot. But sometimes it does have its pros, because sometimes his arms are going to be in some awkward positions, and sometimes, you know, having it loose like this, you can move it at any given time frame. So I think that's really nice. Then taking a look here at the diaphragm, man, I really like the way how this figure came out. You know, we see the obliques in there, some nice muscular definition in there. Then taking a look at the arms, I have heard some reviewers complain about his arms being a little bit on the big side. And to be honest with you, it's not like cartoonishly big. In my personal opinion, I feel like it's pretty on point. I do like the fact that we also do have, you know, the painted hairs on there, you know, before. So, you know, the paint work for that came out really clean. And, you know, we also do have his forearms here. And I just really like the way how this figure came out, man. You know, again, taking a look at the claws, I mentioned previously before how it has that nice sheen, although it's not painted metallically. Then taking a look at his belt, man, we do have some metallic paint there on the sides. And I think that the paint work for what they've have on this figure so far, man, it's done really well, man, honestly. Then we also have some more wrinkle work here on the buttocks. Then coming over here to some of the panel work and the line work on his pants, I do have a little splotch of paint there. Obviously, you know, the whole leg is molded in yellow, so the blue that you see over it is painted. But I still think that, you know, this figure came out really well, man. Honestly, to me, this is probably hands down the best Wolverine figure that we have. Then moving down to the boots, I do have a little problem with the boots. As many of you guys know already, the boots, there's no boot swivel, which kind of sucks. And then we also do have some more wrinkle work here inside of the boots, man, and I'm really liking this Wolverine, man. Honestly, you know, despite the minor flaw with the lack of articulation here, I think this is probably hands down the best Wolverine that we've gotten from Hasbro, and I couldn't be more pleased. They really did their thing with this. Now jumping into the articulation of this figure, starting off with the head. Our Wolverine's head here is on a double ball peg, so you would think that you would get a relatively decent range of motion And to a certain extent you do, and you are going to get that nice range of motion when it comes down to the pivots. Unfortunately, where this range of motion is going to suffer is going to be in the looking up, because that is as far as looking up as you're going to get with this Wolverine, which I feel like it's far enough, but honestly I'd argue that it could be further, and you are going to get about this much range of motion as far as him looking down, which honestly I feel like it could be a lot better if Hasbro would implement, you know, the double ball peg a lot better. So nice range of motion side to side, but up and down it does suffer, unfortunately. Then moving here to the arms, his arms can go around 360, which I think is really nice. I do like the fact that we do have these here. However, what worries me sometimes is that it does feel a little bit flimsy, and I feel like it can break over time. Then moving along to the arms, he also does have bicep swivel that can go 360 degrees. He also does have double jointed elbows which go beyond 90 degrees, which I think works really well, considering all the complaints I've heard about how, you know, big the arms are. I just do want to notate that because this is an all new mode and that this Wolverine is a little bit bigger than our standard Wolverines, it would only make sense that his arms would be a little bit bigger. Then he also does have this nice hinge which can go far this back, which I think is pretty far back actually, and it can come this far in forward, which I think also is really nice as well. Then coming down here to the diaphragm, we do get that nice new diaphragm joint which we can go 360 degrees. We also do get some nice pivot left and right. I will be honest with you all and say that, you know, I was expecting the pivots for the left and right to be a little bit more deep. However, we can still get some nice crunches if you do want his body in a diagonal pose coming forward, so you can get that. Speaking of coming forward, we also do have this ab crunch which does bend about this much, and he can bend back as so. Unfortunately, with the design of this, we do lose out on the waist crunch, on the waist swivel. Then coming down over here to the legs, we do have thigh cut 360 degrees. He can kick his legs up about this far. Unfortunately, we don't get that much kickback. He does have double jointed knees. Unfortunately, we don't get boot to butt, but still a relatively nice range of motion. Then where this figure does lack a lot, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard already, if you didn't know, now you know, we do have, you know, the boot cut is pretty much non-existent here. So unfortunately, there is no twist here. Not sure why Hasbro went in that direction, considering that all of the Wolverines that we've had previously that do have, you know, they do have that boot cut. Then for, you know, the actual shoes itself, it is on some hinges. It can go down this far back, it can go up, and it also does have some nice ankle pivot going side to side. So overall, pretty nice articulation for this figure, minus the boot swivel, which honestly, again, don't know why they did that, but it is what it is. Now jumping into some size comparisons, over there to the left we do have the X-Men 97 Tiger Stripe Wolverine, and then over there to the right we also do have the Heated Claw Wolverine from the Bonebreaker wave. And I'm really liking how this Wolverine looks compared to the rest of these other Wolverines. I feel like this is a major upgrade, a major move forward, especially with that added diaphragm articulation. I know prior to this release a lot of people would probably argue that the X-Men 97 Wolverine was probably the best one before this release, but I really honestly feel like this Wolverine takes the cake. And over there to the left we have him next to the 3-pack Love Triangle Wolverine, and over there to the right we also do have him next to the retro carded Wolverine. Then coming up on your right, we do have the X-Force retro carded Deadpool, and over there to the left we do have the OG Deadpool, which honestly, in my opinion, it still holds up despite the fact that it is on a Bucky cap mode. And of course, you know, I had to show you how he looks like next to the MCU Deadpool. And here he is standing next to the Wolverine 2-pack Sabretooth. And over there to the right we also have him standing next to the retro carded Silver Samurai. And here he is standing next to your retro carded Spidey over there to the left, and your Andrew Garfield MCU Spider-Man 2 to the right. And for some astonishing X-Men action, over there to the left we do have our astonishing X-Men Cyclops, and over there to the right we also do have our astonishing X-Men Emma Frost. And for some Marvel vs. Capcom action, over there to the left we do have the Jada Toys Chun-Li, And over there to the right, we also do have the Jada Toys Ryu. Then for some figures that are Hasbro but not necessarily Marvel Legends, we also do have your G.I. Joe Classified series. So over there to the left, we do have the Action Soldier Infantry, and over there to the right, we also do have Stewart. So, after all is said and done, I think Hasbro executed and delivered an exceptionally well Wolverine that's been pulled straight out from the comics and manifested to us in action figure form, and I'm greatly appreciative that I was able to pick it up. This is arguably perhaps the best Wolverine figure that Hasbro has ever produced, in my personal opinion. Starting off with the new updated body, I think getting a Wolverine with an updated body was long overdue. That's not to say that the Wolverines in the past that we've had are bad. It's just super exciting to know that we got that extra added diaphragm swivel to the figure. I definitely do feel like it is going to add to the dynamic range of motion for this Wolverine. So if you want to get him posed up real nicely and for some photography moments, you can definitely capitalize off of that with that. Then moving along to the head sculpt, I definitely do like the short fin look for this Wolverine. The digital printing that Hasbro has been doing has been very consistent, and to see results like this for this cowl, I'm just very impressed with how this figure just came out overall. Now, even though this figure does have a lot of great things going for it, it's not to say that this figure is perfect. Unfortunately, we are going to suffer when it comes down to the head articulation. Even though Hasbro does have the double ball peg system, unfortunately, the way that they're engineering it and implementing it, we're not getting that best dynamic range of motion. And then moving down over to the legs, the previous Wolverines that we've had in the past before did have that boot swivel. So to know that we didn't get it this time around was a bit of a head scratcher. Despite those minor flaws though, this is overall a very good figure. So if I had to give it an overall grading, I give it a 9.5. So with that being said, once again guys, thanks for checking out another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. Now, if you've liked the content that you've watched on the channel so far, please do me a huge favor and like and subscribe, as it tremendously helps out my channel and the YouTube algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it, as it goes a very long way. So once again guys, thanks for checking out another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. Have a good day.